Hello, and welcome to Credit Chat Live, the podcast where we break down credit, money, and financial wellness in ways that feel real, relatable, and actionable. I'm your host, Christina Roman, Senior Consumer Education and Advocacy Manager at Experian. Today's episode is titled Overcoming Money Mistakes and Creating Non-Judgmental Environment for Your Finances. And this is a conversation that so many of us need. I'm excited to be joined by Nia Adams, also known as the Coin's Confidant. Nia is a financial wellness consultant, speaker, and thought leader whose work sits at the powerful intersection of confidence and financial success. She's the founder of Perspectives, a financial wellness and professional development firm, and the executive director of the Base Foundation. Through interactive, non-judgmental financial wellness experiences, Nia partners with organizations, community banks, and universities to help people move from simply knowing what to do with money to actually feeling confident doing it. Her work is deeply rooted in lived experience. Nia has navigated debt, financial missteps, eviction, and more, and she's going to share her story with us today. But she has gone on to build a nationally recognized human-centered approach to financial wellness. She's a 3-time author, holds an MBA in finance, and is both an accredited financial counselor and certified financial instructor. Her work has been featured in major media outlets, and she's known for creating spaces where conversations about money feel accessible, empowering, and judgment-free. Nia, welcome to Credit Chat Live. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, and you've been in several of our credit chats, but this is the first time we've actually gotten to get you on a live video where we get to actually share a little bit more about your story. I was telling Jennifer, who helps me to manage our credit chat, that I love this aspect of hosting a live conversation with our panelists because we've worked together for years and we've never gotten to have a conversation and share a little bit more about who you are and why you do what you do. So I love that we get to have this platform where we can learn from each other.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also think it helps you see the person behind the credit chat, behind the tweets.
Yes, exactly. Now, Nia, the topic for today's conversation is overcoming money mistakes and creating a non judgmental environment for your finances. And it was very much inspired by a conversation we had where you were talking about viewing money management holistically. So, why is mindset just as important, if not more important, than the math when it comes to financial wellness?
Personally think that it's more important. It's one thing, I know they have the common saying that knowledge is power, but I believe we discussed at that time that knowledge can't be power alone. Like you need more. It's the actual putting the knowledge to use and in action that makes it so powerful. Just knowing, a lot of us know a lot of things that we don't do, that we know we're supposed to do. So I think it's more important because that's what creates the action and that's what separates you from learning about something to feeling confident enough to do it.
Absolutely. Now, growing up on the west side of Chicago, you faced poverty and instability, and you shared that you became a parent young. How did these early experiences influence your relationship with money and security?
Always tell people it was like a roller coaster. I mean, for one, growing up on the west side of Chicago, I didn't know that I was in poverty at that time. Like if somebody would have come to me and said it to me at that time, I'd have been like, I am. But to me, that was normal.
Hmm.
Struggling was normal and then just synonymous with my life. I did not know of an outside life or other opportunities or the ability. I just thought that's what everybody did and that's how everybody lived. So when I got older and then I became a parent at a young age, it was a whirlwind because it's like all of these things are coming at me at the same time. You know, this is when they would be at your college campus giving out t-shirts to get you to sign up for credit cards. You know, now I'm trying to get my first apartment and I'm trying to afford my first apartment. Now I have to pay for daycare. Now, it's like it was just so many things coming at me at the same time when I hadn't had the least a conversation of what navigating that even looked like.
Yeah.
So that's the best way that I can explain it. It was like a roller coaster, essentially.
Yeah. So you've been very open about your story and your financial journey. You talk openly about the fact that you were evicted, that you had a foreclosure, that you had maxed out credit cards. I think when people want to work with a financial professional, there's a bit of a fear behind it because it's like, oh, I'm going to be judged. This
Mhm.
person must be perfect with money, or they must have had a great experience with money. They're not going to know where I came from. You share that story to make yourself more relatable so that people can understand that you have been on the other side, right? So, how did those experiences shape how you approach money and your financial education about money?
They shape the way I approach it, as in I'm much more appreciative of being on the other side of it. I cherish it, and I will do what's necessary to stay on this side because I'm not interested in going back to that side. I didn't, now that I know about this new life, always tell people that's my former life with
Mhm.
money. I appreciate it, and I'm much more aware of different things. Whereas to before, I might go down and then just have a domino effect. Whereas to now, when the first step happened, I'm like, oh, I know where this goes. Let me
Mhm.
correct it now. And how I use it to approach financial education, I make it more practical. It's unrealistic to say that you're never going to overspend, you're never going to splurge, you're never going to fall off your budget. To say that someone can make a budget and for 52 weeks out of the year, flawlessly follow that budget, it's not practical. It's not
Yeah.
realistic. So I think me actually being on the other side, knowing what the emotional side of that looks like, the scarcity, the different shifts that I know that was hard for me to make me be so much more realistic, and I would say maybe graceful, understanding, and empathetic in my
Mm.
approach to financial education.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned earlier that you disagree with the idea that knowledge is power, especially when it comes to money. That's a bold statement, right? Because that's what a lot of people say. You need financial literacy because knowledge is power. But to you, it goes beyond just knowing how to manage money. Can you expand more on that statement?
So first I'll give an analogy. So while I always say my mom didn't teach me about money, what my mom did teach me about was fitness. My mom was an aerobics instructor while I was growing up. She taught classes at like Women's Workout World, if people remember that, the YWCA and the YMCA. So I grew up not putting salt on food and like just having this person, this wonderful resource in my house. However, I have been on a fitness journey. I can't even count how many times. So I have the knowledge. I know exactly what to do. I teach other people because you have to learn it being around me, but it does not translate to me living this fabulous, healthy fitness, lifestyle because I
Hmm.
know knowledge did not help me put it into action. It's me having confidence in what I was doing. It's me building the confidence in even my body, to feel comfortable going out to the gym and going into dance classes where it's a mirror in the
Yeah.
entire room. You know what I mean? Where you have to watch this body that you're not that fond of, move around. So to me, that's one of the best analogies that I can give. That
So
knowledge is
great.
great. I can spit out to you caloric deficit. I can tell you the muscles in your body. I can tell you all of that, but none of
Hmm.
that equates to me now getting to the point that I just now arrived at, where I'm looking at my fitness journey in a different angle and making strides that I've never made before.
Yeah. That is such a good analogy, and that's something that I think so many people struggle with. The two big things that people struggle with, their fitness and their money, and the little habits that you have to set in place and the mindsets you have to set in place to actually hit your goals. It's harder than it looks. It's harder than it seems for a lot of people. Even though there are little steps that you can take to get there, the end goal seems so far away that you don't know how to get started. It
Exactly.
feels so hard. Now, you also shared that you read all the books. You were inspired to change your life when you were younger. So you read all the books, you highlighted the pages, you did all the right things, that you still found yourself repeating the same financial patterns. What finally helped you to recognize and break those patterns?
Well, to be honest, it was a rock bottom moment when I foreclosed on my house within a year. That I was just so proudly chest sticking out, like, oh, I bought my first house, and then now I'm in foreclosure before my next birthday. And then I had to move from that house down into a 1 bedroom, and then we had to, like, split the living room so my daughter could have a bedroom because she had grown accustomed to having a bedroom that, short period of time. That for me was like, "Okay, something has to give. Like, this can't be life. There has to be something different or something more." And so that's when I started to look a little bit deeper into why I used the money the way I did. And so, like, for example, I always tell one of the things I discovered is I spent an excessive amount of money on food. As I said, I was a single parent, I had one daughter, but I did not feel comfortable or good unless my cabinets, my freezer, my refrigerator were full.
Mm.
That was money sitting in my refrigerator because it's no way I ate all of that food and there were only 2 of us in the household. But that came from me growing up in poverty and growing up
Yeah.
without food and growing up eating, I don't know what you wanna call them, but I guess, like, making meals essentially from what was in my refrigerator. I didn't want my
Yeah.
daughter to experience that. I didn't wanna experience that anymore, so I was overcompensating, which was not working towards my financial goals. So that's just one example of things I start to realize about myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And that's such an interesting realization that you did this from a point of scarcity in your own past. So you were stocking your fridge, you were stocking your pantry because you never wanted your daughter to experience that scarcity of food, but it was ultimately hurting you. It was hurting your budget. And
Yeah,
so I do the same. I found that when my husband and I reflected on our budget, we do the same thing, only we did it with eating out. Where like if my son wanted pizza, yeah, let's get pizza. Or, we wanted to do we were coming home from baseball and we do chicken nuggets on the way home, just something quick so that way we could get home, get showered, do the evening routine and get in bed. And we realized that we're spending $1,000 eating out a month. And that's a lot of money. That's a lot of
yes.
money.
That's an
And so
aha moment right there.
yeah, and I told my husband, we can't keep this up. We can't keep doing this. My son also has to learn that he doesn't always get what he wants, right? Yeah, it's great. I'm glad you want pizza. Let's get pizza on Friday, but now you're going to eat the spaghetti that I made. Right now, you're going to eat the chicken and rice that I made because that's what we're having right now. It's that delayed gratification that I also have to teach him.
Mhm.
And I don't want him to feel like we're not listening to him or like that we can't eat out, but that we're on a budget. And also, this is a healthier option for him. We're trying to make a healthier decisions for our family, right? But just having that reflection and also giving grace and knowing like, okay, the money was spent last year, but this year we're making changes. We're going to make a lot
Exactly.
more food at home. And when we eat out, it's a bit more of an experience. It's actually something that we can enjoy together rather than just being like, we got pizza again, or here's your favorite. He likes Chick-fil-A breakfast, Chick-fil-A
I do
breakfast,
too.
the little chicken sandwiches. He loves those, but he got used to it. And so now when he gets it, it's like he's excited again. He's excited that he's getting his Chick-fil-A breakfast. So that's kind of another way that we're reframing it. Like you're going to enjoy it more because you don't get it as often. Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's the
I feel
goal.
like you touched on something really important though, the fact that when you didn't dwell on, "Oh, well, we used to spend $1,000." You gave yourself grace and was like, "Okay, well, that was then. Let's focus on what we're gonna do right now, go moving forward." So I think that was powerful.
Yeah, yeah. And it's been good so far. So far we've really been sticking to it, but again, also building in that grace that you mentioned that it's not going to be perfect every single week. We're going to have weeks where maybe we do eat out a couple more times than we did before, but overall, it's a lot less than we were before.
Exactly.
Now, you also touched on something important when you were sharing your story that you purchased a home and within a year you were out of it. It had been foreclosed on. Can we talk a little bit more about that? Because that is such a huge achievement to purchase a home. But sometimes if you're not prepared for it, it can go south, right? That
Mhm.
experience can become a very big negative, and it might even scare people off from ever wanting to purchase a house again. So, what advice do you have for somebody that is thinking about home ownership? and beginning the process of figuring out what might I qualify for, what should I prepare for this? How can they empower themselves in this journey?
Well, first, I want to say that I could talk a whole podcast about this because I feel like there's a gap in a lot of the information that's out and available that specifically prepares you for, let me help you get pre approved. I would say prepare for staying in the house. Don't only prepare for pre-approval. So when a loan officer is telling you that this is the amount that you're pre-approved for, does that match what your monthly budget says? You and only you know exactly what you spend on. You know that you want to go on that annual sorority trip. You know that your children have extracurricular activities and they have the championship game that they have to go to in Florida every year. Your loan officer doesn't know those things. And
Hmm.
you buying a house doesn't mean you want to stop living. You still want to go take those trips. You still want to go and allow your child to have those experiences, not because you buy a house, now all of a sudden you can't enjoy them anymore. So you want to prepare for being able to be in the house by calculating exactly what you're spending. I actually wrote a book about this. It's called Life is Short, Buy the House. And it's the ultimate guide to preparing for homeownership. But it touches on fixing your budget, leaning out your finances, fixing your credit, because you might need to leverage that credit after you move in. Don't think, oh, I got my house, I'm good now, so I can go finance my life away. You might have a roof that needs fixing. You might have a water pipe that bursts. You might have a HVAC situation. And if you don't have the cash to pay the 15,000, your credit is going to be the only thing you have to leverage to maintain that new investment you just made. And I feel
Yeah.
like those parts of homeownership aren't really talked about as much. But like I said, I could
Hmm.
go on and on about home.
Yeah.
Of course, given my situation from
Yeah.
previously, my former life.
Yes. From your former life.
Yes, I own multiple houses now.
Woo, that's amazing. And you touched on right there a really important point about credit management after you get in the house. That's something that is so important because, to your point, you never know what's going to happen after you purchase a house. So, what advice do you give somebody that wants to manage their credit in this process? How does credit fit into the greater picture?
So honestly, I think credit fits in a lot of ways. So of course, initially going into it, one, you're improving your credit score to make your application and your profile looks sexy to the lender. Because at the end of the day, it's all about money. They're looking to see how risky it is to give you this money. Will you give me my money back? That's
Hmm.
what they're trying to figure out. So that's the first way that of course is beneficial. But secondly, whenever you pay off those minimum payments, you give yourself an automatic pay raise. So by you paying down those cards and paying down that debt, you're actually putting more of your money that you go to work for in your pocket. Because
Hmm.
the credit companies are not at work with you when you don't feel like peeling yourself out of that bed and going to work. They are not
Yeah.
there. It's only you having to get up and do that. And with those coworkers that you don't like to work with, they get on your nerves. You try to avoid them. Nobody is there going through that but you. So now you do that and go through that sacrifice and now pass your money out to all these different people.
Hmm.
Eliminating those people, get them out of your pocket, it puts more of your money in your pocket, which helps you have more freedom. You can spend more of your money towards your financial goals. Moving forward, once you get into the house, as I mentioned, you can leverage it for repairs. But what if you want to Airbnb a room out of your house because you need some additional income? You're trying to meet some financial goals. You can use your credit to purchase the furniture for that room. And then when you get the Airbnb, you can put the money back and pay the card
Yeah.
off. You
Yeah.
can leverage credit to make wealth for yourself. You can leverage credit for your money to work for you, but you have to build that initial discipline with your money first going into this process. But it's so many ways you can leverage credit. Um, Once you have it, use it.
Yeah.
Make it powerful for you. Help it help you.
Yeah. Yeah, we like to say that credit is a financial tool, debt is a financial problem. So that
Mm,
just because you're paying down debt, when you pay that down so that you can, get the house and get the best interest rate, that doesn't mean that you stop working with credit. You now use it as a tool. You make small charges, you pay it off so that you can continue to build that positive history so that you can qualify for lower interest when you need it, when you want to buy that furniture. You qualify for that 0% interest rate for X number of months, and then you make that payment off really fast, and you work to apply furniture for that Airbnb room, and you're building a credit history that works for you, but you're not like dwelling in debt. You don't have high interest debt that's eating away at the income that you have. So it's about being smart with your credit and making those right choices and prioritizing paying it down every single month.
Absolutely.
Now, a big part of this podcast is creating a non-judgmental space for your money. So a core part of your work is creating that safe space for your money conversations. Why is it critical that that happens when shame enters the conversation?
Because a lot of times shame, just being possibly frustrated is part of it too. But a lot of times that's a critical step that prevents people from even starting. It prevents people from seeing a financial specialist or expert, even if they can afford it, because they're so ashamed of once they look at what I've done, or, oh, I'm so bad with money, that they never take that step. And I feel like it's such a huge step because you need to start. You can never reach your goals until you take that first step. But I feel like it's a hump and an
Uh-huh.
obstacle sometimes. And helping people get over that obstacle is going to radiate into their workplace. It's going to radiate into their business, their family, their home life, like so many different other ways. So it's very important to focus on that.
Yeah. And what I love when I was talking about you or talking to you before we recorded today's episode is that you shared that when somebody comes to work with you, you don't even talk numbers with them right away. You want to get to know them as a person. You want to get to to learn a bit more about their background before you start talking numbers. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
So absolutely, it's called the power, and that word is used on purpose, but it's called the power framework. And essentially is based on the fact that your first two steps should be first finding what you do well with money. So what are your MVP habits? What do you do well with money? Let's start off building your confidence in this process as a whole so that you can change the way you look at how you use money and interact with it. The second step is going to be owning your money story. So acknowledging you made mistakes, acknowledging what your history with money looks like and what your habits with money look like. So getting to know you in a very vulnerable way before we even touch a budget or look at a budget. That is the third step, which is W, where we welcome in clarity now. Now that we have an idea of who we are, what our relationship with money looks like, how we got here, we know the root of our money habits. Now let's start to actually look at where we are now. So now we look at how much debt we owe, who we owe, why we owe them, what money we have coming in and who's it going to. Now we're
Uh-huh.
going to embrace confident action because now we know what our bad habits are or the habits we want to change. Now we know where our situation is financially. Let's create those confident actions that's going to change those things. And once we create them, R is for reinforcing them because again, you're not going to stop making money mistakes now because you know about money. So you need to reinforce those new habits and, you know, build like, okay, I used to do this when I spent money. Now I will do this, like things like that. So that
Yeah.
when you fall, maybe you fall off again, make a mistake or anything like that, you already have the roadmap to how to get right where you should be.
Yeah, yeah. I love this approach to working with your clients. And I think also in that second aspect of owning your story, you pointed out that oftentimes somebody will come and say, well, my parents never talked to me about money, or I never learned about money at home. And you talk about reframing that generational financial narrative in a healthier way. Can you talk a little bit about what you share with clients when they tell you, well, my parents never talked to me about money?
So first, I always educate them on a little bit of minor history to let them know that, especially for women, it wasn't until 1974 that they were allowed access to even have accounts. So if your parents were born before 1974, it's impossible for them to have navigated this new system, become a master expert, and be confident enough to now know to incorporate it in your life to make you an expert. I feel like it's an unrealistic expectation that we're putting on them. Second is times have changed, which is something that I don't think we talked about, but the economy then, so even if they had taught you everything that they know, a lot of it wouldn't apply now. Buying a
Mm-hmm.
home then and buying a home now are two completely different situations to navigate. Student loans weren't a part of the process. And I find myself sometimes teaching this to some of the older generation because they're like, oh, well, they need to buy a house. And it's like, well, you have to understand they have a lot more financial pressures on
Mm-hmm.
their paycheck than was before. So it's like, even if it was where your parent was an accountant or, in the financial space, like that's okay. That happened. What are we going to do today?
Yeah.
What can we do today to help change what the future looks like?
Yes. Oh man, that's so good. And I love that you mentioned that you educate not just the younger generation, but the older generation that has these expectations of their kids. Like, why aren't they in a house yet? And you're like, wait a minute. There's a lot that they're paying for right now. College is really expensive.
Yes, I had that happen live in a session before. I was doing a workshop and the parent and the child was there. And when I finished, the child was like, thank you. Because I guess he probably had been pressuring her. Her dad had been pressuring her. So when I brought that up and I literally like wrote it on the board, like, higher interest rates. And he was like, oh, well, houses were $12,000. I said, yes, but what was your interest rate?
Uh-huh.
Like, let's compare the
Uh-huh.
two. So
Yeah.
give me your 12% interest rate with a $10,000 house any day.
Huh? Yeah.
Because that's not the houses that we have right now. So it's like, I kind of dispelled some of his, pressure, but she was so happy. Like, thank you so much for saying it at the end.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's great. And yeah, even still, even though we have, what is it, like right now, a 6 point something percent interest rate on houses, the houses are, well, here in California, they're well over $700,000 at 6% interest rate. Like, that's a huge investment. It's a lot to ask somebody. So it makes sense where it's at now. I know that's not across the country, so my perspective is a little bit skewed. But even
They're
still, a
still higher
$300,000
everywhere.
house, yeah, it's still way more than $10,000 that they paid.
Man, give me 10.
Yeah, I will take that at 12% interest, please.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's why. So it kind of, calmed him down a little bit. But I think some of the younger generation, they don't want to stay in one place also. So if you're going to
Yeah,
move within 5 years, it might not be a good investment to buy a house either because you're not going to make your money back that you have to put for down payment, closing, inspection, appraisal. So you just really have to look at you and your goals and make decisions based on where you want to be for yourself.
yeah, definitely. Now, for somebody that's tuning in and they are on a financial journey, it's still technically the new year. I consider the first quarter part of the new year. They're making their plans for how they want 2026 to look for them, right? What are some ways that somebody that can just build confidence in themselves before they begin to check those bank accounts, the credit cards from the holidays that they haven't want to open those envelopes yet? But it's time. It's time, guys. The bills are coming up due. So we got to make sure that we look at that.
So I would actually like to give tips for before and during, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. So before, I'm always going to say the first thing is give yourself grace. And giving yourself grace means that understanding, like I said, owning your money story. You make mistakes. It's okay. When you were younger and you started to ride a bike, did you just jump on the bike and then zoom, you were going down the street? No, you had training wheels, first of all. Then, even once you got off the training wheels, you still sometimes fail on the bike. So, the training wheels, they helped as a buffer, but nobody becomes an expert overnight. It was a process that you had to go through. And anytime you learn a new skill, it's going to be a process. Wealth building is a skill. It's not a characteristic of you. It's not a personality trait. It's not a gene. Even though money habits can be hereditary, it's not a gene that's innate in you. It's a skill that you are building. And anytime you are learning something new and building, it's going to take time. It's going to be a process and it's going to look more like a roller coaster rather than a line or
Hmm.
rather than a slope if we want to get mathematical. So that's what I always suggest when it comes to before you look at them. When it comes time to actually start looking at the numbers, it's just data. You're just getting the data. The same way if the forecast told you that it was going to rain outside, you would just get an umbrella, right? You wouldn't
Hmm.
like, oh my God, I can't go anywhere. It's not, it's raining outside. You would just get an umbrella. It's the same thing. You're looking at the data to see what the data tells you. Your budget is the window to your wallet. It is
Yeah.
a way to tell you, okay, you may have spent this. Let me just tell you how that affected your money. That's it. That's all. That's what's really, I think, is very important for people to understand.
That's so great. And I kind of chuckled a little bit when you talked about the rain because my coworker lives in Texas and she has crazy weather. And over the holidays, I told her, "Oh, it's raining," so we just stayed inside the whole time. We refused to go outside. But that's because California drivers were not used to this rain, so it gets a little bit crazy out there.
Understand, like we just had a quote unquote ice storm here in Georgia. And as everybody talks about, Georgia shuts down.
hmm Yep. Yeah, and in Texas, I don't think they just had an ice storm and they shut down for the most part. But I saw my coworker out there, having to get her kids to and from in that crazy weather.
Still, they didn't close.
No, they closed,
Okay.
but I saw her have to drive around.
Still.
Now, you mentioned identifying those things that you do right with money. What are some things that when somebody's reviewing their spending or they're empowering themselves to, okay, let's go ahead and let's start looking at where we are right now. What are some things that they can look for? What are those good money habits that they may be doing right that they may not realize could help to boost their confidence?
The first one is just going to be paying their bills on time. So sometimes we get in the habit of, oh, bill comes, we just pay it, or we're a professional juggler, as I call it. But that's an attribute because that's one of the top percentages of your credit score, paying bills on time. So
Yes.
believe it or not, you're actually ahead of the game, you know? So that's one of them. If sometimes you made a strategic decision and maybe you were going to go and you're like, you know what? No, I don't need to go, do that. I'm not going to go buy that. Something like that, that you didn't need. I think that's a benefit. Opening and looking at your bank statement. If you look at it, again, some people suffer from not what I call, but it's called the ostrich effect, where
Yeah.
they just dig their head in the ground. They don't look at it. They avoid their bank accounts. They avoid their statements, emails, all of the above. So by you even taking that step to look at it and being open enough to look at it, that's a huge step that you are
Yes.
making. If you reach out and talk to somebody about it, if you have a savings account, you have any savings, if you like, some people say, well, I put the money in the savings account, but I pull it out. But the fact that you put it in there,
hmm
all you need to do is retweak your strategy. You've done a huge part of the process by putting money in your savings account consistently. So it's
Yes.
like, don't focus on the fact that you take it out. Focus on the fact that you put it in. Now we just need to regroup and build a strategy to help you slowly stop taking it back out.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
those are a few.
Yes, those are great. And I remember when I was first going through my credit rebuild when I was in my 20s, I had ruined my credit. I did everything wrong, but a lot of it was out of fear that I had created a worse picture in my brain than what was actually on paper. And so I was like, well, I'm never going to be able to pay this debt off. And so I wasn't paying my bills on time. I was avoiding the envelopes. I'd put them off to the side. And that was, again, this is in my 20s. I didn't know how credit worked. I didn't realize a missed payment meant that it was going to get reported to the bureaus and it was going to impact me for 7 years. I had no idea. I just thought, oh, I'll catch up when I can, but right now I just can't. And then when they started calling me, I remember there was a debt collector that worked for my credit union, and her name was Simone. And I know Simone because she stuck with me forever because she actually took the time to explain to me, okay, this is impacting your credit. And I was like, and what does that mean? I don't know what that means. And she pointed out all the ways that it can impact me. If you want to buy a house, guess what? You this is going to stay on your credit report for a really long time and it's going to negatively impact you. It's going to ruin your credit score, so you're not going to be able to buy that anytime soon. And I was like, okay. And she made me want to sit down and look at my financials and realize, okay, where am I at right now? And then when I looked, I got out of that ostrich head in the sand situation. When I looked, I was like, okay, I can work with this. And, I used a credit card payoff calculator and I started to plug in, this is where I'm at right now. This is the interest rate. What can I pay to be done with this in a year? And started making a plan. But I had built this situation in my brain that was so much worse than it actually was. And so I can totally relate to that ostrich in the head in the sand situation. So I just want to share that. You actually may realize when you open up those statements, the situation is not as bad as what you think it is in your head.
Yeah, by the way, you just explained part of my life. I did the same thing with credit cards. I did not know, and I did not have a Sonia. Thank you, Sonia.
Yeah. Yeah, she was, I mean, you know what? She was patient with me too, because I was like, I don't have the money. And so, sorry, what do you want me to do? And she said, anything that you can pay right now will help. And then when you have the money, prioritize making that payment, please. She was so patient with me. She was not like an angry collector calling, be like, she didn't scare me. Honestly, she didn't scare me. And I loved that about her. I think she knew that I was young and that I was inexperienced and I didn't know what I was doing. And I think maybe she was approaching me from that helpful mentor perspective for a debt collector, which might be unusual, but I'm super grateful to her.
Definitely, it is unusual because, well, fortunately, I haven't been called by a debt collector in a long time, but they used to be super aggressive
Hmm.
and rude, disrespectful.
Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, she was never any of those things. And
Mhm.
so she really inspired me. And yeah, I'm super grateful to her for that. Now, when we were talking, you mentioned that you work with people across all income levels, right? Including high earners. Why do you think you mentioned that even when you're a high earner, you don't always have financial confidence? So, why do you think making more money doesn't always translate to being a financially confident person? I think we're always chasing, oh, I need to earn more, I need to earn more. But why does it not matter how much you earn? It's still not going to impact your own confidence with managing your money.
Think it's important because your habits are the same. You can't outspend bad money habits. So you
Mm-hmm.
can make more money. Because I saw a meme once, and I believe I made a reel about it. And they was like, well, I just want to make enough money to afford my bad spending habits. And I'm like, you never will. It's not possible. That's why they're called bad spending habits.
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes we have the misconception that if we just get more money, that, oh, well, then that'll solve everything. But it's like, no, because at one point you made less money than you have now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes mentally we create bills as soon as we know that we're getting more money. Oh, I need to get a new car. Oh, I need to upgrade my phone. Oh, I can get new streaming services. Oh, I need to update my wardrobe. I got a new job. So I need to update my wardrobe now because, this new job needs new clothes. Going on vacation, and every single vacation, you need a full wardrobe to another beach to people who's never seen you before. So it's like, I think we build those things in our head, or
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it right now. It's drawing a blank, but basically it's the effect where somebody buys you maybe a new appliance. Now the rest of your appliances start to look old. And now
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, I have to upgrade this and I have to upgrade that. Or I tell my clients all the time when they're picking up a new habit or hobby, or even starting with fitness, that does not mean you need to go buy a whole new fitness wardrobe and you got to go get all the things now. You haven't even tested the consistency and built the habit yet. Or
Yeah.
even starting a new business, which I did that when I first started my business. I paid for like brand, what they call it? Brand theory, brand, like, so they can figure out what colors and all of that.
Yeah.
And for a logo and 500 business cards. I don't even use that logo or those colors today at all. Like, I didn't even use it long enough to use the business cards. They rode in the back of my car for so long because I didn't even prove the concept yet
Yeah.
before I went and just spent all these things. So I think is that we have a habit of spending money. We live in a very consumer based society that has taught us to spend, that has taught us we need the next best thing and we need to consistently get what's new and what's upgrade. We live in a society that positions purchases as lower when they really aren't, with the buy now, pay laters, or even when you're buying a cell phone. It's so hard to get them to tell you how much the cell phone costs. I'm like, well, how
Mhm.
much does it cost? Oh, it's just $20 per bill. I'm like, what?
Yes,
But how much does it
exactly.
cost? Oh no, it'll just be. I'm like, well, how much does the $20 add up to? Like, why do I have to play mental math with you to find out just how much this phone costs? Because psychologically, if I hear that price, it's going to make me pause on purchasing it.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
kind of set us up to spend. So I personally feel like it's not 100% our fault. So being a high earner doesn't, shield you from that. You're still living in the same society as everybody else. You just have the money, and now nobody's there to tell you no.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I want that whole segment just to be clipped because you spoke so much truth in that segment right there, Nia. I can't even everything you said. I was yes, yes, that's so true. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yes
It's
to
true.
everything that you just said there. And
Yeah.
I've experienced that,
I teach people all the time. The free shipping
yes,
scam. I could go
yes.
on and on.
Yes, yeah, just add $10 more to your cart and you save on $8 shipping. Like, wait a minute here.
Sometimes shipping is like $3.99.
Yeah.
And I tell people they have somebody, like, you might not have a budget, but they have a budget for
Mhm.
somebody to statistically calculate what is the likely chance that you're going to go look to spend that extra $10 and really 50.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So true. So
Mhm.
true. And then what they do is when you put something in your cart, they say there's 5 other people that are looking at this item and you're like, I better get that before it's gone, And yeah, oh, there is science behind those carts that we shop
Absolutely.
from online.
Abandoned cart
Absolutely.
emails, just purchased in New Hampshire. Really? Was it really purchased?
Yeah, or I remember my car right during the holidays, right before Thanksgiving, there was a flood in my neighborhood and I was driving through it and my car intook a ton of water and it killed my engine, killed my car. And so I had to go shopping for a new car, but I needed it pretty quickly. And I was looking at used cars because my grandpa taught me a long time ago, you only buy used. So I was looking at used cars and there was this one car that I really liked and they were like, well, how much do you want to pay a month? And I was like, well, what's the total for the car? And then they
Mhm.
were like, well, tell us how much you want to pay a month and we'll figure it out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to drive away. And then we drove off and then they called me and said, hey, just so you know, if you're interested in this car, there is another buyer that has called and they're coming to look at it. They used every tactic. And let me tell you, my husband and I turned right back around, went back to that dealership. And now I know. I know. Like, okay, they used every tactic. Now, it wasn't a good deal on a car. It was a great car. I love that car. But they were doing everything that they could to get that sale done that day. And thankfully I had built credit at that point that I qualified for a good interest rate and my payment was where I wanted it to be. But even still, like they never talked full numbers. They just talked payment
They
with
are
me.
the
So just
main
to know
ones.
that those are tactics that are used is really important.
Yes, they are the main ones. I feel like car salesmen, because it should not take an 8-hour shift to buy a car. I should be able to walk
Isn't
in,
that
get
the
my
truth?
car, do my paperwork, and go on with my life.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
give me a paycheck. I've been here as long as you all at this point.
That's so great. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the episode, and I want to give listeners just some actionable tips. What is the first thing you want somebody to know if they're feeling overwhelmed, ashamed, or stuck because of past money mistakes?
That they're human, that it's okay, that it's fine, that mistakes are a part of life and they're a way to collect data, similar to what you mentioned. Like you look back and was like, oh, we spent $1,000, on takeout food a month. Like, wow. And
Mm-hmm.
then that's it.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to be an overnight process. It might take some time. You have to build that new brain muscle, but that's just a part of life. I wish I could tell you that once you learn about money that you'll never make a money mistake again and it's going to be so beautiful like in the movies, but it's not. And so the more realistic you are with yourself and continue to give yourself grace and just accept that life has ups and downs, it'll help you process it and even approach it differently in the future.
Yes, absolutely. And if there's one mindset shift that could immediately improve someone's relationship with money, what do you think that mindset shift would be?
Is the ultimate currency.
I love that. Confidence is the ultimate currency. Now, we first chatted about with you, and this was a couple weeks ago, and we met because you have a conference coming up that you wanted to tell us about, right? And I loved the overall take that you are using for this conference for your community to teach them money habits. You're looking at it holistically. Can you tell us a little bit about this conference and where people can learn more if they're interested in it?
I would absolutely love to. So, my power framework, the conference is kind of like bringing it to life. And it's essentially looking at it in the sense that it's based off three health tracks: mental, physical, and financial. Improvement in just one of those will radiate out to the others. Mental health and financial wealth are so strongly related, like not even like cousins that you only see at funerals and weddings, like cousins that you grew up like siblings with,
Yes.
you know. And so I think that approaching it this way is really important. This event happens September 26th in Atlanta, Georgia. It's called Thrive 360. To go find out information, it's www.thrive360atl.com. Very simple. And essentially, we have breakout sessions, we have yoga, we have Zumba. So we have a lot of activities that go on throughout the day. We have very interesting panels. We're actually working on a perimenopause panel this year, which I actually have two panelists since I've talked to you. So I'm
Yay.
working on building up my panelists for that because I think it's a very important conversation to have. But it's a good environment. Like last year, I had so many people walk up to me that said they had never been to an event like that. And they was like, oh my God, like this was amazing. Like I don't feel overwhelmed. I actually feel energizing to leave, but it's because we leave on that nice energetic note. Like these are the things that happen at all the conferences that people want to go to. Why can't they be at a financial conference?
Yes.
Like who says they can't?
I love that. I was so inspired by that approach. And that actually
Thank you.
inspired this episode because of so many little nuggets that you shared when you were telling us about your approach to money. And I was like, oh my goodness, so many people they need to learn about that. And it makes sense also that you're including the wellness given your own history, your mom being a fitness instructor and you realizing that everything is so intertwined, right? So I just love this approach and I hope that anybody that hears about it, if you're in the area and you're interested in attending, definitely check that out. Now, for somebody that just wants to learn a little bit more about you, maybe they want to check out some of the books that you've written because you shared several of them throughout this episode. Where can they go to review your work and the resources that you offer?
Say they can go to my website. It's www.niaadams.com. So there you can find and go to home, about, and you'll be able to see me and everything that I do, as well as I have a YouTube channel that's called Nia's Perspectives. And I'm on all the social media platforms as well. I'm pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, share those apps.
So the ads for Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram is at Money Perspectives.
Okay.
Same for all of them. X is Perspectives 83. They said Money Perspectives was too long. They wouldn't let me get that one.
Character count.
Yeah, exactly. But everywhere else is at Money Perspectives. So even the YouTube channel, if you put youtube.com at Money Perspectives, it'll find the YouTube channel. So that's the best way to find
Wonderful.
me. And I have playlists. Like I have a investing for beginners with confidence playlist. I have a home buying playlist. I have a making money moves playlist. So I have a lot of free resources available.
Yes, amazing. Nia, I'm so glad that we were able to sit down and have this conversation today. I'm so glad that I get to know you a little bit better. Every time we talk, I get to learn something new about you. I'm super fired up that you wanted to be on this podcast on Credit Chat Live and share even more nuggets with our viewers and our listeners. And also that you take the time to join us on Credit Chat, because I know that's time out of your schedule and time is money, but you take that time to share your knowledge with our viewers on Credit Chat. So thank you so much. And just really, I appreciate this conversation that we had today.
Well, I appreciate you having me. I love what you all are doing. I think I told you all before, I love the topics that you bring to Credit Chat. I feel like they're very realistic. A lot of times they're spot on with the time and the season, and they always provide a lot of valuable information. And then because you include so many different financial experts, they get like so many different points of views and perspectives. and it helps them get a overall view and not one person just telling them, "Do this, don't do that." So I think it's
Yeah.
very valuable what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And for anybody that is listening and you've never checked out one of our credit chats, so these are hour-long conversations that take place on X, and we cover a wide range of personal finance topics, as Nia mentioned. We do try to make them timely to what's going on. So last week, we had a conversation about it was called Was It the Mistletoe? And it was family planning for anybody that may have realized that they were pregnant after the holidays. So we just thought that was a funny chat to have. But we have seasonal topics. We try to keep up with what's going on in the news so that we can make sure that we're sharing relevant information with you as well about money and credit and any changes that have taken place. So if you would like to tune into that, they happen every Wednesday on X at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and you can just join in. You can join in the conversation from your X handle. You can search hashtag credit chat and you'll see all of the conversations that are, or all of the tweets that are going out within that hour. If you miss it that hour, you can always still search that hashtag credit chat and go back and see what people talked about during that hour. So it's a great hour-long conversation. And then we like to try to branch out also with these episodes with our guests. So thank you so much, Nia, for joining us today. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Credit Chat Live. I hope that you learned a lot. I hope that you go and check out Nia's resources because she's amazing. And I was inspired in just the quick conversations that I've had with her. So I know she can create real change for you in your financial health. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.